Hi guys, and welcome back to Mr. Steve. If you're anything like me right now, you're probably missing the best place on earth for a holiday, Bali. I was supposed to be there right now, but obviously with this coronavirus pandemic, everything's going to have to be put on hold, and any hope of travelling back to Bali in the near future seems a bit remote at the moment. So I've been trying to figure out how to get my Bali fix, and I've decided to use my Mr. Steve channel just to keep you up to date with all the happenings over in Bali. And right now all the news is about the coronavirus, but I'll try and find other stories about the wonderful people of Bali and bring them to you in this new weekly vlog. So today it's Sunday the 26th of April here in New Zealand, where I'm in lockdown. In this week's inaugural episode of The Week That Was in Bali, I'll cover which famous Formula 1 racing car driver has been spotted in Canggu and spending his lockdown in Canggu. We'll talk about the Indonesian government shutting down all domestic air travel around the archipelago. Bali's beaches are all closed, yet there's still some idiots who try and break the rules. And talking of airports, who are all these people still arriving at the international airports like Ngurah? And finally, I'll finish off with some sad news about a famous travel vlogger that has now gone home and left Bali.
Mr. Steve! Mr. Steve!
So welcome to the week that was in Bali. We'll start today's show with news that would in normal circumstances attract plane loads of photojournalists from all the tabloid newspapers of Europe, and they'd be flooding into Bali right now. Yep, the world's most famous Formula 1 car racing driver at the moment, Lewis Hamilton, is spending his coronavirus isolation in Canggu in Bali. He's not been doing very many posts, even though he's got about 15 million followers. And judging by this photo, he's trying to disguise himself by blonding all the tips of his hair. So you probably wouldn't recognise him. If you do see him and get a photograph, send it to this channel. It'll be interesting. He's also been spotted surfing before they closed the beach. And he's also, the one Instagram post that he did do was him out for a run. As he was saying, he was still trying to keep fit should the Formula 1 season ever restart in the near future. And he's been the subject of a lot of speculation lately too, with him thinking of leaving his Formula 1 team to go to Ferrari, and he denies all that. But you've probably seen in the news that the Indonesian government has now banned all domestic air travel between the islands and the archipelago of Indonesia in an attempt to slow down the spread of the virus. I think this is probably especially good news for Bali because, as I said in my previous video, there's a question as to whether Bali is immune in some way, whether they've already had it. We don't know for certain. It could be still coming, but Bali's only had 3 deaths, and 2 of those were foreigners. So whatever they're doing in Bali, they're doing very well. And it can't just be the jamu. I know people keep talking about the jamu because they drink jamu in Java and everywhere anyway. I drink jamu here in New Zealand. The travel ban's going to stay in force till June the 1st, and the only exceptions to that will be freight and some essential movements, whatever that means, probably government officials or trying to redeploy people into other areas for work or whatever. I'm not too sure what essential movements will be, but they've also shut down the ferries and the sea travel, and that one's extended a little bit further to about the 11th of June from memory. Now, with international flights almost completely at a standstill, there are still a few. Who are all these people that keep arriving? There's been like 600 arrivals Bali Airport, Ngurah. A lot of people are getting a bit antsy about that, but a government official has said that they're not tourists, but diplomatic representatives, people arriving with the ITAP or an ITAS permit. like a residency or work permit. And there's a lot of Balinese returning from overseas who used to work on cruise ships. There's about 5,000 Balinese who work on cruise ships around the world, and of course cruise ships are all shut down, and a lot of those Balinese are arriving back. So that poses quite a risk. I hope there's a plan for them for going into quarantine, because as we all know, the cruise ships have been extremely high risk. So I'm hoping that they go into voluntary lockdown and isolation for a couple of weeks. So if they are carrying the COVID-19 virus, they're not going to pass it on. Now, to help stop any community spread of the COVID-19 disease, Balinese authorities have decided to shut down all the beaches, and here are a few pictures of beaches around Double Six, Seminyak, Batu Belig, and you'll see they've got barriers up now, guards, and I've even seen photographs now of police actually roaming the beaches and making sure that nobody's flouting the rules. However, many local Balinese people have been a little bit unimpressed lately with the way foreigners have been flouting the rules. And this man, or should I just call him an idiot, he was in Canggu and he was stopped several times trying to climb the barriers before finally they had enough and arrested him. That's my dog running around. And that gentleman was from Lithuania. So, absolute nutter. And finally, in this very first episode of the week that was in Bali, I've got some sad news. And the sad news is that Kendall Furman, I'm sure you've heard of her. Kendall Furman, she's a 24-year-old from Los Angeles, and she arrived in Bali in January, and she's been documenting her travels in Bali. Unfortunately, she's gone back to the States, and so we're not going to see all those wonderful shots of Kendall like this one here of her taking a shower with an elephant. And since her arrival, she's had almost 18 million TikTok views of her on her channel of her shots that she's taken around Bali. I think there's some video as well, of course, if it's on TikTok. And interestingly, studies show that 80% of that 18 million views came from males aged 12 to 25. I've absolutely no idea why this demographic would be so interested in the lovely scenes and scene shots of Bali. If you perhaps know why that is, put a comment down below. It'll be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be sad to see Kendall go, but I hope you're safe in Los Angeles, Kendall. So that's the first little update of the week that was in Bali, and I will hopefully do more research and get these out each weekend, so that you don't have to, and I can give you your just a tiny bit of a Balinese fix, because we're all missing it. I know for a fact that all my friends in Australia, all my friends in New Zealand, and all my friends who actually live, expats who live in Bali, it's tough not being there. And even if you are there, it's tough because obviously not a lot is open. The Grab guys are doing a great job of delivering all the food. We'll talk about them in the next video, and the restaurants that are doing all that, and that seems to be working really well. And there's a really funny video I want to show you next week about the Grab guys and their food delivery. So if you're interested in this sort of stuff, having a weekly update, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell down below there, and you'll get, because I'm not sure when I get enough material, I'll load these. Hopefully it'll be every Saturday or Sunday, but if you've got that notification bell, you'll get an instant email of when they're available. I hope you're all well. Stay safe in Bali, guys, and my fingers are crossed for you that you've already, like we believe, you may have already come through this from December, January. Fingers are crossed. Take care, and I'll see you all next week.